People really need to learn how to listen to each other, right? When people talk, right, you can't understand what they're saying unless you listen, right? Sometimes listening is a good way to have a healthy dialogue with each other. When you listen, right, instead of talking over each other, you're actually picking up new information that you hadn't heard of before. When you listen, right, you understand people even more. Not only that, listening to people, it helps out the other people who's talking, because sometimes the people who's talking just need to vent out their expression. Because if you don't allow them to vent out their expression, they might take it in another form, which lead to, God forbid, like go on a spree, because the reason why these people who decide to do all these, deletion, right? The reason why they're doing that because they just don't have anybody to listen to them, right? This is why these people with mental illnesses, this is why they need therapy, right? And therapy help people out, express their emotion and help guide people what they're doing, right? It's just people need therapy, right? The form of therapy is basically listen to them. People just need to listen more to people. Just because you're listening, that doesn't mean that you're agreeing with what they're saying, right? By listening, it helps people out to vent out their expression instead of taking in a form that's very unproductive, that's very conducive to them, or that's very impractical, right? That's what all these people really want. They just want somebody to listen to. If they don't have anybody to listen to, they feel alienated. They can't connect with anything, right? And by listening to them, like I said, just because you're listening, right, that doesn't mean you agree to them. Not only that, when you listen to them, you might pick up new ideas, new ways of doing things, new ways of viewing things, right? This is why it's so important to have a healthy dialogue. You listen to people. You can't have a healthy dialogue if one person are talking over another person. That can lead out to more anger, more aggression towards everybody else, right? To have a stable society, people have to listen to each other. Listen to each other. Expose yourself to multiple point of view. Point of view that you haven't think of before. Point of view that you haven't thought of before. Right? I'm not saying it's correct point of view, but it makes you think in different ways. Right? Not only that, when you let the people talk, it point out their flaws and also point out their logic as well. Right? Maybe a person that's not unstable, you let them talk, maybe it'll allow them to listen to themselves and see how the way they're speaking really doesn't make any sense to any logic at all. This is why you let people talk and you listen. In a debate, proper debate, a formal debate, they don't talk over each other. In a formal debate, you have one people talking their point of view and another person just listen. While you listening, you pick out the flaws in their arguments, right? And use that against your opponents in a debate. And it's vice versa with the other person that's debating the other person, right? This is why in debates you just have one person just listen to them. They let them talk, they let the opponent talk, and then they gather in their thoughts of how can you use their word against them, right? Same goes with courts. In a court trial, each attorney, right, they don't overtalk each other. They let the other person defend, the plaintiff defend, and the defendant say their point, right? This is why formal debate, right, they take time listening to each other, right? Now, in an informal way, when we talking to regular people, right, people like to be right all the time. When they hear some word that they don't agree with, they just snap. They get triggered. Instead of being triggered, just listen to other people. Just listen. Like I said, you don't have to agree with them, but just listen. Maybe you could pick up on certain aspect of the conversation that you haven't thought out before, right? That's what people are really lacking: the ability to listen. This is what happened. This was one guy. This one Asian guy. He's like a professional debater, professional guy who likes to debate, right? I forgot his name, but he's a professional debater. He win all these debate, right? He said one tip that you should learn is to listen to people, right? Just listen to people. That's what everybody wants. And people, they love to talk about themselves. They just love to talk about themselves. Alright? Just let them talk. Sooner or later, people who talk a lot expose who they really are. Expose their true intention. And they didn't know, and they're not gonna catch it until they hear themselves out. This is why you let people talk and listen to their arguments. Play it back to them and let them listen. And they will realize that if they would have listened and gathered their thoughts, maybe they shouldn't say this, that, and that. Right? While you, the listener, already know what they're saying, but you don't interrupt them at all. You just listen. Like a chaplain. A chaplain, right? What was their job? Their job is to listen, right? To the patient. Their job is to listen. Their job is not to point out their opinions or anything like that. They just allow the person to listen, to get everything off their chest. When you give something off of your chest, you're expressing your emotion and you're not penting it up. When you pent up your emotion, right? When the person aren't able to say what they want to say, they pent it up. Next thing you know, they're like a loose cannon. And they'll be on the 6 o'clock news doing all these crazy stuff. Because they don't have anybody to listen to. By listening to people, it prevents a lot of things. It prevents people from doing stupid things. It prevents people from jumping to conclusions. It shows people what they're really saying. That's the powerful of listening. You have to listen to people. You don't have to agree with them. Just listen to them. And that's what is really lacking in today's society. People aren't listening to each other. Like within a family, a mom and dad, a brother and sister, they refuse to listen to each other. They refuse to sit down there and talk. Whatever happened to a family dinner? During a family dinner, one person just talked and asked how were their day? How are their day going? How did their day went? Right? The reason why you do that is because to let stuff off of their mind. When you gather all these thoughts, it's gonna pent up. Like I said before, it's gonna pent up and it's gonna blow up. Ask one of your friends how are their day going, and let them talk. And all you just do is just listen to them. That's it. People just need someone to listen to. Right? That's the point of a therapist. A therapist is somebody to listen to. This is why people are willing to pay hundreds of dollars an hour, right? Just to have a therapist listen to them. And analyze what they're saying. That's the point of a therapist, right? People just need to vent things and let things go. And you, by being like a barber, why do people like to go to a barber? A barber is somewhat like a therapist as well for their clients. They go to them because the barber, while he's concentrating, cutting hair, people talk, get everything off their mind, telling the barber how are their day going, right? And the barber just listen. To matter of fact, food for thought, I used to be a barber, right? And I have clients come here. The reason why they like to come to the one barber that they like is because they could express whatever they want to the barber, and the barber don't judge. The barber all they do is just cut their hair and just listen and ask questions. Listen and ask questions. People like that. It's like a therapeutic thing. When men go to the barber, it's like their personal therapy, right? It's like their escape from their hectic lifestyle. They go to the barber, get their hair cut, and talk to the barber. The conversation go anywhere, and they could express anything to the barber. The barber don't judge, right? The barber just listen and just focus on your haircut. So at the end of the day, at the point of this video is that people need to listen more to each other and stop arguing with each other. Arguing does not solve anything. In my opinion, arguing is the least productive way of conversating. I hate to argue. If argue comes, if I know argument is coming, I just shut down. I'm like, I'm not arguing with you. I'm done. Because arguing does not solve anything. It's unproductive. What solves something is by listening to each other and talk to each other with respect. Because if you don't do that, it's going to lead to hostile environments. You have to talk it out. If you have a problem with somebody, you have to talk it out. One person listen and one person just talk. And then you exchange. Vice versa. Okay? That's what's really wrong with society. People refuse to listen to each other. And by you listening to this video, I thank you for that. You know? But that's what I think. And it's just, the world would have been better if people would just take the time and listen to each other. On that note, guys, thank you for listening to me. Thank you for listening to my video. And this is how I express things by recording this video. On that note, I'll check you guys in the next episode. Peace.